As the old saying goes, you only get one chance at a first impression, and that is very much the case with WWE's biggest show of the year. Every performer dreams of one day reaching WrestleMania, if WWE's propaganda machine is to be believed, so when they get there, they naturally want to make a big splash. Luckily for these 10 performers, that's exactly what they did. Just for clarification before we start, this is about wrestlers' first matches at a WrestleMania, not wrestlers who had their first match on the show of shows. Got it? Good. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WrestleMania debut performances. Join us. Number 10, Finn Balor at WrestleMania 34. Had things gone differently for Finn Balor, chances are that he would have made his first Mania appearance at number 33, possibly as Universal Champ. That was until his shoulder decided to take a vacation from its sockets. Finn would in fact return from injury the night after Mania 33. Over the next year, he would wrestle the likes of Elias, Bray Wyatt, and AJ Styles before becoming embroiled in a three-way feud over the Intercontinental Championship, also featuring Seth Rollins and title holder The Miz. With Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson at his side, Balor mainly built to this match by having great singles bouts with Rollins on Raw before the time came for the A-lister to join the party. The trio opened WrestleMania 34 with, in all honesty, one of the best Mania curtain jerkers of all time. Balor played a huge role in his first Mania match, matching Rollins' athleticism beat for beat and acting as a terrific foil to Miz's cowardly ways. He almost had the belt too, but was stomped into next week by Seth to allow the future Messiah to pick up the win. He might not have been victorious, but this was a great showing for the Irishman. Number 9, The Shield at WrestleMania 29. 5 years before he won the Intercontinental Championship, Seth Rollins made his WrestleMania debut alongside his brothers in flak jackets, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. The group known as The Shield had rocked WWE to its core the previous Survivor Series as the three then unknowns jumped Ryback during a WWE title match and scored a huge win the following month over the big guy and Team Hell No at TLC. Their opponents for WrestleMania were another triumvirate of big stars, the mishmash team of Randy Orton, Sheamus, and The Big Show. What did these guys have in common? Well, maybe they were, I have no idea. WWE promoted the match as 3 rookies versus 3 former world champions, giving the Hounds of Justice a lot to prove on their first Mania outing. Sure enough, they hit it out of the park right away, making a killer entrance through the crowd to kick off WrestleMania 29. Furthermore, the new guys actually won. Reigns speared Orton and Ambrose pinned him for the win. A group of young guys actually got put over a group of older guys as a big pay-per-view. I never thought I'd see the day. Number 8, Rusev at WrestleMania 31. He came to the ring in a bloody tank. Do I really need to say any more? I do? Alright, fine. Alexander Rusev, as he was known very briefly, debuted on the main roster with a great showing in the 2014 Royal Rumble. By November that year, he was United States champion and still to be pinned or submitted since getting the call-up. To show how serious the company were about their new Bulgarian toy, they not only kept the belt on him until WrestleMania 31, but booked him to defend it against one of the biggest stars in history. John Cena, a man so American he bleeds pancake mixture, was chosen as the country's big hope to wrest the title away from this foreign menace. Predictably, Big Match John did win the match and the championship, not before nearly decapitating his opponent with a lethal springboard stunner, but Rusev had been made to look like an absolute beast in the process. And may I remind you that he came to the ring in a tank. I mean, how many wrestlers can say that? Well, Shotzi and DX can, I guess, but this was way cooler and you know it. Number 7, Kane at WrestleMania 14. If you are looking for WrestleMania debuts that were short on in-ring work but big on spectacle, then it's gotta be Kane. The Big Red Machine made one of the all-time great WWE debuts at Bad Blood, where he ripped the door off the Hell in a Cell to confront his brother, The Undertaker, and cost him his big match against Shawn Michaels. From this moment on, the two titans were on a collision course that was bound to culminate at Mania. With all the melodrama of a great soap opera and all the gothic grandeur of Edgar Allan Poe on a late-night coffee binge, Taker vs. Kane was made for a stage like this. After months of refusing to fight his own flesh and blood, the dead man finally took up the challenge for WrestleMania 14. As I mentioned earlier, these two didn't actually have the best chemistry between the ropes, a trend that would continue over their lengthy rivalry, but in terms of storyline and visual appeal, you couldn't have asked for anything more. Also, this is where Kane began his other great career rivalry with Pete Rose, so there's that. Number 6, John Cena at WrestleMania 20. Technically speaking, John Cena made his WrestleMania debut on the pre-show of Mania 19 when he took part in a rap battle against some cardboard cutouts. Illustrious is the word I'm looking for. Anyway, 1 year later, Cena got his first actual Mania match, another show opener against defending United States champion, The Big Show. Though not a full-on babyface just yet, the Doctor of Thugonomics was wildly popular thanks to his white boy rapper gimmick, and this was his chance to solidify his status as a fast-rising star. The match itself wasn't technically excellent or anything, but the hot crowd helped it along the way, as did Show's menacing presence as a seemingly unbeatable giant. Cena got the win after hitting Show with his trusty brass knucks, the naughty scamp, before hoisting him up onto his shoulders to hit an FU so big it sunk Madison Square Garden several inches into the ground. Fans were delighted to see Johnny Boy leave the pay-per-view as champion, which is good news really, since they would be seeing it about 80 more times over the course of the next decade or so. Number 5, Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8. Prior to him facing The Undertaker 10 years later, Ric Flair's one and only WrestleMania appearance saw him defend the WWE Championship that he had claimed during the legendary 1992 Royal Rumble. So, who was his opponent? Was it Hulk Hogan, the man who so many saw as Flair's equivalent for years, yet they'd never crossed paths until now? No. Hogan was busy fighting Sid in the main event for reasons. Don't be too down though, as Flair would have another mega power to dance with on the grandest stage. Following a wonderfully nonsensical feud where Flair used a rudimentary version of Photoshop to convince Savage that he and Elizabeth used to bonk, the two icons of flashy robes and over-the-top promos settled it in the ring. As you would expect, the action was smoother than Steve Austin's head, with neither man putting a foot wrong for the entire match. Macho Man got his revenge for the picture-based trickery, pinning Slick Rick to capture the title. This should have been the start of a long and illustrious run of Mania matches for the Nature Boy, but by January of 1993, he was gone. Number 4, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys at WrestleMania 2000. It's hard to believe it, but each of the 6 men who competed in the WrestleMania 2000 Triangle Ladder match had never been on a Mania card before. Whilst Edge, Christian, Matt and Jeff Hardy had been employed by the company for some time ahead of the big night, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley had only joined the previous August. Even so, they were the champions heading into this revolutionary match type, one that would change the professional wrestling landscape forever. By combining the various tag team stipulation matches these 3 duos had had over the past few months, the Triangle Ladder match introduced entirely new ways for 6 people to batter each other. Crazy stunts, big spills, preposterous table ladder constructions that made no sense, this had it all, and the Sextet stole the show while enhancing their growing reputations. Of course, this match laid the groundwork for the first official TLC match at SummerSlam, then the second one at Mania X7, all involving these teams. A beautiful ode to organised violence, it's amazing to think that the players in this iconic match were stepping out onto the grandest stage for the very first time. Number 3, Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19. There aren't many people who can say they main evented WrestleMania on their very first try. Well, there's the people in the main event of the first WrestleMania, but that's cheating. Brock Lesnar wasn't even on the roster at WrestleMania 18, debuting the next night on Raw. Over the course of a year, he won King of the Ring, won the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and won the Royal Rumble to set up a mouth-watering title clash with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19. Now that is what I call productive. The young wildebeest and the Olympic hero showed why theirs is one of the greatest rivalries in WWE history on this night, putting on a display that was as technically sound as it was brilliantly theatrical. There's one move in particular that this match is famous for, but it's been talked about so many bloody times, so all I'll say is that it rhymes with mooting ma mess. Emphasis on the mess part. Lesnar ended the night as champion, meaning he not only main evented the granddaddy of them all in his WrestleMania debut, but he won the WWE title too. I mean, what's he gonna do next year? Oh right, the Goldberg match. Never mind. Number 2, Gunther at WrestleMania 39. Like Lesnar, Gunther hadn't even been a full-time roster member the year before his first Mania appearance, but he had been Intercontinental Champion for some 300 days by the time WrestleMania 39 Night 2 rolled around. It was here he faced his toughest challenge yet, defending the belts not only against his fierce rival Sheamus, but also against a new threat in the form of Drew McIntyre. This was an all-European meet-off, and it was glorious. Trying to recount everything that happened in this full-on potato fest would do it no favors. It has to be watched for the full extent of its glory to be fully understood. After the best performance of all three men's careers, Gunther pinned McIntyre to retain the gold and keep his historic reign in motion. A mighty match for sure, just not one that altered the very fabric of WWE. Number 1, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 32. For the longest time, women's matches at WrestleMania were either 5-minute nothings to cool the crowd down, or was some humiliating brand tie-in usually to do with Playboy. Not at WrestleMania 32 though. This was the night women's wrestling in WWE changed forever. After getting their call-ups the previous year, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair were all put into a triple threat match at Mania for the Divas Championship. Ugh, the Divas Championship? What's that doing there? Quick, Lisa, replace it with a new Women's Championship. See, that's better. 3 of the 4 horsewomen left no stone unturned, piecing together a match that would have made even the most ardent of skeptics take note. For the first time ever, the women's match was legitimately the best on the show, as Charlotte submitted Lynch to win the title and make history. Charlotte may have won the bout, but in truth, all 3 women were now history makers. From this point on, WWE started putting more effort into their women's matches at WrestleMania, paving the way for them to become main events of the show in the future. All thanks to this fantastic match.